The Madman! New Witchwood cards, go! Witching Hour. It's a druid 3-mana spell, summon a random friendly beast that died this game. Any card that allows you to cheat out big stuff on the cheap tends to see some amount of play. See Eternal Servitude and Priest, which costs 1 mana more and resurrected specific things. You don't get the choice of what you resurrect, but there's easy enough ways to throw big beasts into your dead pool, right? Or is there? Because in order to do that, you have to not really run Spreading Plague in your deck. And you also have to Skipperino the Malfurion Death Knight, since that would get you a Scarab or a Spider. So it might be challenging, but as long as you're summoning a beast that's 3 or higher mana, then it's already pretty efficient. And then you just run human type stuff in the early game. One of the potential combos is you have your charged Devil Sword die, and then you play your Witching Hours, or perhaps both, and then you summon 2 7/7 real charging Devil Swords. 3 mana 7/7 Devil Sword with charge, pretty good. And one of the other great targets to summon will be this new card, Witchwood Grizzly. 5 mana 3/12 for neutral. Taunt Battle Cry, lose 1 health for each card in your opponent's hand. That means the card itself loses health, by the way, not you. But the card is still extremely good, I think. Very powerful tool against aggressive decks, obviously, since they're gonna have low amounts of cards, and there's a sliding scale. Against the super aggressive decks, this card is super good, since like super aggressive decks will tend to have 1 or 2 cards when it's turn 5. Even against kind of the middle ground, tempo-ish decks will probably have 3 to 4 cards, which is still really good. And this card compares to Ancient of Blossoms, which at 6 mana is always a 3/8. This card at 3/7 against even just the mid-range, which is probably on the higher end of the decks right now. Like, that's pretty good. Also, if it gets silenced, it goes back to a 3/12, although it loses taunt. This card's really good with Carnivorous Cube, since if you sacrifice the cube, you're getting back both Grizzlies at 3/12 taunt. Really good synergy as well with Lady in White, as well as Master Oakheart always comes in as a 3/12 with taunt. So I can definitely see decks running this, not even control decks, just decks running this. As a card with a bunch of stats and aim it towards the aggressive or tempo decks. But just this number of stats seems really powerful. Next up, for Hunter, we've got Duskhaven Hunter. 3 mana 2/5 stealth. Each turn this is in your hand, swap its attack and health. I figure the optimal use of this card is to play it on turn 3, and it's in Worgen form. So ideally, you're actually going to be drawing this card either in your opening hand or on turn 2, and then it swaps over to the 5/2 side. It won't be a beast, but 3 mana 5/2 stealth is actually really, really powerful, and I figure a lot of the aggro decks would use it. The downsides are, of course, that only about half the turns can you play this as a 3 mana 5/2. And this does have a mid-range option as well, because a 3 mana 2/5 is not a bad stat line, and the stealth is a bonus. Worth mentioning is I did theory craft a Baku Face Hunter deck, and this card is odd, so looks pretty good for your Baku deck. There's people who ask, what about Jungle Panther? That had just 1 less attack and was always in the big attack form. Well, I mean, when you add 1 stat more to a card with as few stats as this, that's a big jump in stats. Adding 1 stat to nearly any card that's 3 mana or less makes almost every card insane. You know, except the really worst ones. And Jungle Panther was not a bad card. It actually saw some play in Face Hunter. And then we've got Toxmonger. Really interesting hunter minion, 4 mana 2/4. When you play a 1-cost minion, give it poisonous. Where it really shines is a certain number of 1-cost minions are extremely good with Toxmonger, such as Elven Archer. You play it, it starts with poisonous, you shoot something down immediately, and the 1/1 itself still has poisonous. That's some serious value card. This is gonna open up a really different type of hunter. I don't know if it's specifically for Quest Hunter, though Quest Hunter looks like it could certainly use some Toxmonger action. With a slower meta, Quest Hunter just might work out also, but possibly has some application even in not Quest Hunter, because it just feels so powerful. They can be leading by a whole minion, and then you can put down the Toxmonger protected by your 1/1 Elven Archer with poison. Interesting card to get your head scratching at deck creation possibilities. Cathedral Gargoyle. 2 mana 2/2 Battle Cry. Taunt Divine Shield is insane. It's like Shielded Minibot, except it also comes with Taunt. And we saw how good that was for Argent Protector. It's a step up for Argent Squire. So annoying to get past a taunt with Divine Shield on a small minion. Now, the main problem is, of course, holding a dragon. And unfortunately, Nightbane Templar, the other Paladin Dragon Synergy card, is rotating out. This card truly is going to have to wait to see whether or not there are actually any Dragon Synergies. Coming up, there is Nightmare Amalgam, which is a decent tempo card. A decent card to pull out with Called Arms is also Fairy Dragon, and I imagine if Cathedral Gargoyle were to see play in the deck, maybe Fairy Dragon also would. Or perhaps this is tilted more towards the late game Control Paladin. Mid-range / Control Paladins also ran a Shielded Minibot just because it was that good. I don't think this card will see play if it is literally the only Dragon Synergy card though, and I don't think that the Rush Dragon Synergy card and this card is necessarily good enough to make a Paladin Dragon Core, so we're gonna see whether or not there's anything else. If not, then perhaps this is a setup for the future where Dragon Paladin might get more support. Woodcutter's Axe, the warrior, very cheeky replacement for Fari War Axe, 2 mana, 2/2, Death Rattle, give a random friendly minion with Rush +2/+1. Boy, is that a good card. Very competitively statted, in fact, overstatted for what it does, and given that most of the Warrior Rush cards we've seen are pretty good, this is certainly going to be a staple, must-have card for any deck with Rush, and it's common, so really nice and basic. People were concerned about Darius Crowley. Now you not only have the extra 2 damage to chip in, so Darius Crowley can kill a guy, but Darius Crowley is a 6/5. Wow. Now, of course, it's important to realize that just because you're building a Rush Warrior deck, you shouldn't just include all the cards with Rush. Given that Wasp appears to be lower on the power curve, perhaps still don't include it. Finally, last and least, Warrior gets a 6 mana Deadly Arsenal spell. Reveal a weapon from your deck, deal its attack to all minions. It's a lot like Dragon's Fury from Big Spell Mage. Now this is Big Weapon Warrior. The main problem with Deadly Arsenal is that it requires you to not run Bloodrazor, which is basically the card that ties Control Warrior around, and you would only run this in Control Warrior because this is dealing attack to all minions. Currently, the only reasonable big weapon to run in Control Warrior is Gorehowl. Arcanite Reaper is just a little too weak. Control Warrior has never traditionally run that card. With the Deadly Arsenal, maybe you push yourself to run it, and then you have 6 mana, deal 5 to everything, which is pretty good, but the big drawback is no Bloodrazor. However, with Sleep with the Fishes rotating out, maybe Deadly Arsenal is the new replacement. Maybe Bloodrazor is less good enough that you run the Deadly Arsenal. This card also pretty strongly depends on whether or not we see another weapon alongside Gorehowl as being anywhere good. See you next time as we navigate through the spooky Witchwood.